What's going on, gang? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ. This is Out of Bounds, and in today's video, we're going to be doing some more NBA prize picks props for you today. We're going to be looking at some points, some assists, some rebounds, and some three-point makes that I like for tonight's NBA slate. Pretty big games, a lot of games to choose from here, a lot of different ways to go, but hopefully we narrow it down and land on at least 4 or 5, hopefully even 8 out of 8 would be perfect picks for you tonight. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Here on this channel, we talk all things single stat player props. Prize Picks is our primary focus. NBA is our primary game at the moment. So if you like that sort of thing, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We are just a handful of subscribers away from hitting 1,100 subscribers, which was what my goal was over on Monday. So it would be nice if we could get there. Definitely make sure you're subscribed if you are not yet. Now, yesterday's like goal, you guys absolutely smashed it once again. So I'm going to bump it up a little bit. We're going to go 50.5, 50 and a half likes. I am again taking the over, challenging you to like this video at least 51 or more times. Let's see if you guys can get it done. You guys have been absolutely crushing it. Now, without further ado, let's get into some injury news real quick. We got the Pacers, Goga Bitadze, ankle uncertain for Thursday. Jeremy Lamb for the Pacers, dealing with a knee injury. He's questionable for the Pacers on Thursday as well. Edmund Sumner, knee injury. He's questionable for the Pacers. Once again, you're seeing a reoccurring theme here. The Pacers are all sorts of beat up at the moment. Detroit Pistons, Killian Hayes dealing with an illness. He's questionable for Thursday's game against the Memphis Grizzlies. OG Anunoby, injury recovery, unavailable again for the Thursday game for the Toronto Raptors. Another guy to look out for is Grayson Allen. He's dealing with an abdominal injury. He's been dealing with a hand injury. He is ruled out, will not be playing for Memphis tonight. Rui Hachimura, illness. He is going to sit out for the Washington Wizards. And my boy Davis Bertans has been balling out. So if he's at 11.5 points again today, he's one guy that you should keep your eye on. He has been going over that here pretty regularly. Jaren Jackson Jr. is available for the Grizzlies on Thursday, so he should be playing tonight. Looks like Malcolm Brogdon, who's been dealing with a hamstring injury, is questionable for the Indiana Pacers on Thursday. PJ Washington, personal reasons, is back for the Hornets on Thursday, so that's a big backing for them. So, Miles Bridges is still out for them, but PJ Washington being there, that is a good one for them. Raptors, Yuta Watanabe, ankle, questionable for Thursday. Wayne Ellington, calves, questionable, not just one calf, but 2 calves. He's questionable for Pistons on Thursday. What has this guy been doing with his calves? Who knows? That's going to pretty much do it. We got Gary Trent Jr. returning for the Raptors on Thursday. So definitely stay plugged into the NBA news. Obviously, that is one big way, one big advantage for us as players to get ahead. And I'll leave a link down in the description of the video to the Discord community where you can join for free and talk with other like-minded individuals about NBA and all sorts of other sports over on PrizePicks. So totally free for you to do that. And we've also got an NBA news feed in there that'll help you stay on top of all the latest news. So let's get into it, guys. It is time. So we got 3-point props, 1 assist prop, 2 rebound props, and 2 3-point make props for you today. Let's talk about the first one here. Jonas Valancius, the big man for the Memphis Grizzlies. He is projected at 15.5 points tonight as they face the Detroit Pistons at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time over on PrizePicks. So 15.5 points, that's a pretty decent number. I do think that he can go higher than that tonight, though. He hasn't been scoring as well. I think ever since he's come back from that concussion, he's just been a little bit of a different player. There was a point in time where he was absolutely smashing rebounds and points and all kind of stuff. But anyway, I digress. The game total is implied at 221.5 points, so pretty healthy game total here. Should be expecting plenty of points to be scored by both of these teams. We've got the Detroit Pistons as 9.5 point underdogs at home, meaning that this game does have blowout potential and risk of getting away from the Pistons. We obviously know that the Pistons aren't very good, as is indicated by their 19-47 record. So a little bit of a blowout risk here, but we're going to start talking points. So let's highlight the points column. We do Control F. We type in Valancius's name, And up comes a point projection here over on number fire of 16.6. Now that's 1.1 more points than he's expected to score according to PrizePicks. So we like that. We need him to be at 16 or more points. So even if we round this down to 16, that's still enough to get him over the hump. So good first look here on Jonas Valancius. Now let's move over to NBA.com, where they have a pretty robust stats system here where you can look up just about anything you want to know on any NBA player. And we pull up Jonas Valancius' name here in the search engine, and 16.6 points per game for the season, which is a pretty healthy number. Looks good when you compare it to the 15.5 that he's projected at over on PrizePicks. So another good sign here that over is looking like a good way to go. But we're going to dig into his last 5 games and see how well he's been performing during that time span. So let's run this report. And he's appeared in all 5 of the last 5 games, playing just 27 minutes, which is kind of low. Don't like to see that, but his points per game are at 12.8. Now that is a bit concerning. That's almost 3 full points under where he's projected on PrizePicks tonight. And not only that, that is about 4 full points under his season averages. So that is a big red flag for me. It's a little concerning here. We've got to hope that he's back around this season average of 16.6 points tonight. So let's move ahead here. We'll go to our next and final site, which is rotowire.com. In case you're new here, we look at RotoWire because they've got 4 of the main sports books all available for you to look at side by side here, which helps us out when we're trying to decide on player props. So we type in Valancius' name, and you can see that 3 out of the 4 sites do have a point prop up for him, and we're not really seeing any action one way or the other. In fact, 15.5 across the board here. He is a minus 113 under, minus 113 for the over. FanDuel, minus 110 under, minus 110 over. And let's go move over to the side here and look at PointsBet. Finally, a little bit of juice for the over. So he's a minus 125 according to the folks over at PointsBet who are laying down their hard-earned cash. So minus 125 is a good sign for us that he can go over 15.5 points. I like the confidence that I'm seeing there. So all in all, guys, things are looking pretty decent here. I mean, there is blowout risk, so there's a chance that maybe he doesn't get a full run of minutes, but I would say that this is a softer matchup for him against the Detroit Pistons. But if it blows out, then yeah, I'm a little concerned that he doesn't quite get there. On top of that, his season averages, they are above 15.5, but the last 5 games, he hasn't been scoring so well, 12.8 points per game. And then finally, out of the 3 sports books that we can reference, only one of them has him going over. So this is not a super strong, confident pick for me. I'm going to let you guys decide on this one if the over, the under is the way to go. But I have laid out all the information and facts that I have at my disposal. Hopefully, it helps you make a decision here. So let's move on to the next one here, which is Kent Bazemore, or if you played him the other night, Kent Blazemore. He was on fire. That's what I'm trying to say. He had a very, very good game the other night. So he's at 10.5 points, taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is one of the late games. Tips off at 10:10 p.m. here on the East Coast. I'm down in Florida, and that's kind of a late night for me. So let's do a little game look in here. You can see that this game is implied for 226.5 points. That is a pretty healthy total. Quite a few points here. Between these 2 teams. What is concerning is that this game is a 14.5 spread, meaning that there is a high probability and chance that this game will be a blowout. We know Oklahoma City is not a good team. They're 21-45. Golden State, on the other hand, they are fighting for their playoff lives. They got a lot to play hard for. So, if it blows out, does Kent Bazemore play deep into the 4th quarter? Possibly. I mean, I don't think Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Steph Curry will be seeing the floor. Somebody's got to be out there, and hopefully it's Kent Bazemore, or maybe he just gets it done and he's a big factor why they do blow out Oklahoma City. Anyway, there you have it, some information on the game. So let's type in Bazemore's name, and you can see that he is projected for 12 points today over on number fire. Now 12 is quite a bit higher than 10.5. In fact, it's 1.5 points higher. So I love to see big edges or advantages like that. Looks like PrizePicks just added more players to the board. Exciting times. But anyway, Kent Bazemore, the over is looking good here based on the projections we're seeing. So let's move over here and we'll talk NBA.com, and we'll look at his season averages and his last 5 games and see how those are shaping up. Now, the season averages are not impressive, 6.7 points per game. Let's see if that number goes up. I do expect it to when we look at his last 5 games versus how he's done over the course of the entire season. We run this little report, and in the last 5 games, he's appeared in 4 of those games, playing over 30 minutes per game, and his points have gone up, but not a whole lot. 7.5 points in that time span. Now, Kelly Oubre, I think, is still out for Golden State, if I'm not mistaken. So Kent Bazemore should be stepping into more minutes. And like I said, if this game does blow out like Vegas thinks it will, he should be in there in the fourth quarter getting garbage time buckets. So his scoring average is trending upward, but still not quite high enough to reach 10.5 or more points here. So let's move over to our last site here, and we'll type in Bazemore's name. Now, out of the 4 sports books that we can reference here, only a couple of them have a points prop up for him. Both of them have him up at 10.5. And you can see that FanDuel's got him up as a -122 to go over 10.5 points. And BetMGM, they've got him at -128 to go over 10.5 points. So both of the sites that we can reference do agree that going over 10.5 points is the way to go for Kent Bazemore. Plus, his projections are expected to be at like 12 points, which is very good. That's a good sign in the right direction. And, his averages aren't very impressive. His season averages, his 5-game averages, they aren't good enough to go over 10.5 points in either one of them. But this game should blow out. And if it does, I do expect Bazemore to get in there and clean up and score a few garbage buckets. So there you go for Kent Bazemore, or Blazemore if he hits for us tonight on this over. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Bogdan Bogdanovic, or Bogey. That's a lot easier to say. He's at 19.5 points as the Atlanta Hawks are taking on the Indiana Pacers at 8:10 p.m. Let's go take a look at Bogdanovic and this game total and the spread and all that fun stuff. All right, so first and foremost, this game is projected for 239.5 points. Very sky-high total. More points, more assists, rebounds, 3-point makes should be expected from a game with such a very high total like this. Now, it's just a 6.5 point spread, so I wouldn't call this blowout city or anything, but it doesn't look like it's going to stay too close or too competitive, but hopefully it goes the distance here, especially if we're looking to take any overs from this game. Now, in this case, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Bogey, I think we're looking to take the under based on what I had seen prior to starting the recording of this video. So he is at 17.9 points. He's at 19.5 points over on PrizePicks. So that is quite a big difference. That's 1.6 points difference. Yeah, I like the way that that's looking so far. So far I am on the under bus here for Bogdanovic. So let's go look at his season averages, his last 5 games. He has missed a couple of games here or there in more recent contests. Now, for the season, he's at 15.5 points per game, which puts him quite a bit under 19.5 points. Let's dig deeper, though. We'll go look at his last 5 games and see how many he's appeared in and how he's been scoring the basketball during that time. So when we run that report, you can see that he's appeared in 3 out of the last 5 games, playing just over 30 minutes per game. Now, his scoring average is up quite a bit, 18.7 points per game in the last few games, which is about 3 or more points higher than his season average. So 18.7 points, although it is trending upward, it is still not high enough to go over 19.5. So I'm sticking to the under based on the averages I'm seeing for the season and for his last 5 games. But we can't stop there, no siree. So we're going to go over to rotowire.com and type in Bogdanovic's name. And across the board here, we're seeing a number of different props for Bogdanovic, and none of which align with what PrizePicks has him at. So he's at 19.5 points over on PrizePicks. I see him at 18.5 and even 17.5 over on these different sports books. So let's start here with DraftKings. At 18.5, you guys can see that they are betting the under on 18.5 points. So minus 127 there. So if they're expecting him to go under 18.5 points, don't we think that going under 19.5 points is absolutely doable? It's like we're being spotted a point here by PrizePicks, which it's hard for me to look away from. It's hard for me to deny. Now, FanDuel, another situation here where he's at 18.5 points. They got him at a minus 120 there as well. So that's another situation where they are taking the under 18.5 points, making the under on 19.5 points look just too good to be true, quite frankly. Now, the other two sites here have him at 17.5. Now, at 17.5, you're seeing action on the over on both of these sites here. So somewhere between 18 and 19 points seems like a good landing spot for Bogdanovic. In this case, I am probably going to stick to the under. I have not seen a shred of evidence here that leads me to believe that going over on 19.5 points is the way to go. Yes, it's going to be high scoring. Yes, the spread is somewhat close, competitive. And that is probably the only knock that I've seen here against going under on Mr. Bogdanovic. Otherwise, I think I'm clicking the under. So, alrighty, let's go and move on to assists. I got one guy I want to talk about. Only one assist prop really stood out to me, and that was the return of the guard for the Chicago Bulls. I'm talking Mr. Zach LaVine. He's taking on the Charlotte Hornets tonight. The game tips off at 7:10 p.m. over on PrizePicks. So let's go look at Mr. Zach LaVine and see where this game total is stacking up. And then we'll get a look at projections, his averages, and all that stuff. So first and foremost, this game is projected for 219 implied points with Charlotte as a 4-point underdog at home. So not a super high total, but also not a bad total. It's not looking like a light total either. It's a pretty decent, healthy size total. Plus, the fact that this game is expected to stay close means guys like LaVine should be in there for a full run of minutes here. So let's click the assist column. We've got it all highlighted and sorted the way we want. We'll type in Zachary or just Zach. I think he goes by Zach, right? He likes going by Zach. 4.3 assists is his projected assist total tonight, according to the folks over at Numberfire. Now you compare 4.3 to 5.5 and you're like, hey, CJ, yeah. Hey, CJ, yeah. 4.3 looks pretty good, and I agree. I think 4.3 looks very, very good. So we're going to type in Zach LaVine's name over on NBA.com. And over there, you can see that for the season, he is dropping 5.1 dimes per game. Actually having a fantastic year, 27.5, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That is a sign of a superstar right there. That is very good. But we need to look at his last few games because he has been sitting out for a while here for Chicago. So I'm going to start by looking at his last 5 and see how many he's appeared in. 0. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. So let's look at his last 10 and see how many he's appeared in. 0. All right, well, can we look at his last 15 and maybe something comes up? All right, so in the last 15 games, when we look at that time span, he's appeared in 4 of those games. So he's missed a lot of time here. Could there be rust? Possibly. I don't know. In that time span, he's playing over 37 minutes per game, averaging over 32 points. Wow, fantastic number there. His assists, though, is what we're most concerned with. 6.8 assists, which is higher than 5.5. Do I expect him to play 37 minutes tonight? I don't know. That might be pushing it, especially with this being his first game back, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, kind of hard for us to compare, his last few games when he hasn't played in quite some time. But let's go back over here to RotoWire. Let's type in Zach LaVine's name. I can't spell. Fat fingered that one. And across the board here, we've got him at 5.5 assists across all 4 of these sites here. So that's a good sign. Now, over on DraftKings, minus 125 under. FanDuel, minus 120 under. Here's where things get a little weird. BetMGM has them as a minus 118 to go over, which is a little different here than the first 2. And then finally, PointsBet, we're not really seeing any difference here on Zach LaVine. So, look, this is a little bit of a dark horse play. It's kind of a, one of those ones where we don't have a lot of recent data on Mr. Zach LaVine. So, going over, going under is going to be a little difficult to project here, but I think I'm going to just stick to the under and see what happens in his first game back. But if you don't feel comfortable with it, I can totally get on board with just walking away and playing the wait and see game here with Zach LaVine and see how he looks in his first game back here. So there you have it for that one. Now, I've got a couple of rebound props to discuss, and then we'll get into a couple of three-point props as well. So the first one I want to talk about in terms of rebounds is going to be another Chicago Bull here. Mr. Daniel Theis. Now at 6.5 boards, I think I've got him going under. Let's go ahead and type his name in here since we already know about the game totals and the spread and all that fun stuff. Click the rebound column. And you can see he is projected at 5.8 rebounds. Now that is significantly lower than 6.5. We just need him to be at 6 or less rebounds in this particular situation here. So 5.8 is a number that stands out to me. Looking good so far. Now let's type in his name to NBA.com. We will control click, bring up his player card, and you can see that for the season, he is averaging 5.4 rebounds per game. Now, a lot of these games came from his days as a Boston Celtic, so of course they can be skewed, but to get rid of those skewed numbers, we will go back in time and we'll look at his last 5 games instead of the season average, and that should paint a more prettier, clearer picture for us here. Now, in his last 5 games, he's appeared in all 5 of them, playing almost 30 minutes per game, and his rebound totals, or averages, I should say, are 8.2 rebounds per game, which is on the up and up versus where he's been rebounding the ball for the season. Now, 8.2 is also higher than where he's projected on PrizePicks today at 6.5 boards. So that is a little bit of a red flag, just a little bit of a red flag. Now, we're going to type in Theis's name here into RotoWire, and you can see that across the board here. DraftKings, they have him at 6.5 boards. He's a minus 118 to go under. FanDuel, 6.5 boards, minus 122 to go under. Nothing for BetMGM, blank. And then finally, PointsBet at 6.5 boards. They got him as a minus 120 to go under. So we got all 3 of these sports books favoring the under here on Daniel Theis. We've also got his season averages that favor the under on his rebounds. The only thing that's really working against him is the fact that in the last 5 games, his rebounds are trending up. We're looking to go under. Meanwhile, he's been rebounding the ball at a higher rate, but sometimes you just have to kind of block out the last 5 games and forget about it and hope that he has an average night that lines closer to what he's done for the season and less what he's done over his last 5 games. But there you go for Daniel Theis. Let's talk about the next guy, which is Kyle Anderson, the swingman here for the Memphis Grizzlies. They're taking on the Detroit Pistons, as we mentioned before, at 8:10 p.m. Kyle Anderson, 5.5 boards. I think that's a little underweight. I think that he can pull down more rebounds. Let's see if the research backs up the claim. Now, he's at 5.9 rebounds according to NumberFire. So 5.9 is really, really close to 6. Of course, at 5.5 rebounds, that puts you right in the middle of 5 and 6. We need him to be closer to 6, hit 6 or more boards if we're looking to take the over. So let's move things back over to NBA.com. We'll type in Kyle Anderson's name here. Open it up in a new tab. And for the season, his rebound averages are 5.9 rebounds per game. Now, 5.9 is exactly where he's projected to rebound the basketball tonight as well, which puts him a little bit over 5.5. So let's click the stats category. Go to traditional splits, advanced filters, change all games to 5 games, and click run, and let's see what happens. All right, so for his last 5 games, he's appeared in all 5, playing about 28 minutes per game, 4.8 rebounds, which is under 5.5. So his rebounding averages are actually going down versus where he's at for the season. So this is another one of those things is like, you know, you feel like this is one of those games where he's closer to his 5-game averages, which are on the downturn, or do you think that he's going to be closer to where his season averages are, which are, you know, closer to 6 boards, which is where we need him to be? This is a tough one to call here. So let's move over to RotoWire and type in Kyle Anderson's name. Now, Kyle Anderson is at 5.5 rebounds across the industry. Over here on DraftKings is at a minus 121, so that's a pretty good little number there. Minus 118 to go over here. And finally, PointsBet's got him at minus 130, which is a healthy over on that 5.5 rebound prop. So all 3 of the sports books like him to go over 5.5 rebounds. His season averages are also over 5.5 rebounds, although he has not been rebounding the basketball quite as well in his last 5 games. But the saving grace is the fact that he is projected to go over 5.5 rebounds, being closer to that 6 number. So there you have it on Kyle Anderson. This one's going to be a little tricky, a little tough here with the game being one of those ones that's more on the lower scoring side, and the fact that it is, potential blowout city here. So, all right, the last two props I want to talk about are both 3-point props. We've got Kevin Durant and Kyle Lowry, a couple of 3-point shooters here. So let's start with KD. They're taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Game tips off at 7:40 p.m. here on PrizePicks. So let's close Kyle Anderson out. We'll type in Kevin Durant's name here, and we'll open up his player card. Now, we've got to dig a little deeper to get to some 3-point averages and stuff for the season. So we got to click stats, click traditional splits, and you can see that for the season, in which he's appeared in 29 games, he is attempting almost 6 threes per game, and he's making over 2.5 at 2.7 3-point makes per game. So that is a good first sign. Excuse me. Then we'll change this to his last 5 games and run that. Now, during his last 5 games, he's appeared in 4 of those. His attempts are 7.5 3-point attempts, and his makes are up to 4 3-point makes. That is fantastic. We just need him to hit 3, and things are trending much, much higher here in his last 4 games, I should say, versus where he has been shooting it for the season. So that is a good look, in my opinion. Now let's head over to the 3-point section of RotoWire. We'll type in Durant's name there. And across the board, they've got him at 2.5 3-point makes. We got him at as a minus 143 over, loving the odds there. Minus 128 over, minus 139 over, and finally, minus 125 over. So all 4 sports books are showing some strong action on the over for 2.5 3-point makes for Kevin Durant. Plus, his season averages and his last 4 games are both over 2.5 3-point makes. So I'm loving everything about this. I think I'm going to stick with it. The way that the game totals and the spread are looking for this one, this indicates that it's going to be a pretty high scoring game, and it's going to stay close. So you got to love going over on a lot of these stats for this game. So sticking with it for sure. Now, Kyle Lowry's the next guy, and also the last guy that we're going to talk about here. He's at 2.5 3-point makes himself. They're taking on the Washington Wizards at 7:40 p.m. So let's take a look at the game total and spread of this one. 237 implied points, with Toronto as just a 2.5-point favorite at home. So another game where a ton of points should be scored, and it should stay close and competitive. I can see Kyle Lowry easily flying over 2.5 3-point makes in this one. So let's type his name in here to NBA.com. He's another guy who has missed a handful of games throughout the course of the season. Click stats, click traditional splits, click advanced filters, and here you go. You can see for the season he's attempting 7.2 3-point shots per game, and he's making nearly 3 at 2.8 makes out of those 7.2 attempts. And that's over 46 games in which he's appeared so far this season. Now, let's see how things change here, and we'll click his last 5. So we're looking to see if the 2.8 3-point makes goes up or goes down. Now, in the last 5 games, he's appeared in just 3 of those games, but he is playing over 37 minutes. His 3-point makes and attempts, they're off the chart. He has been shooting the 3 ball very well. 10.7 3-point attempts, and he's making 6.3 3-point makes over his last 3 games. That is crazy. That's a 59.4% 3-point percentage over his last 3 games. Do I think that's sustainable? No. Never in Kyle Lowry's career has he even come close to 50%. I don't know, has anyone ever done that? Anyway, this is definitely going to come down over the next few games, but hopefully tonight it does not come down, because we just need him to make 3. If he can make 6 over the course of a 3-game stretch, then I do feel confident that he can make at least 3 here. So last but not least, who cares what I think? I'm just one guy. Let's look at how the different sports books are looking at Kyle Lowry tonight. Now, you got him at 2.5 here, minus 139 for the over. 2.5, minus 146 for the over. 2.5 here, minus 143 for the over. And last but not least, a juicy way to finish off the video, a minus 150 for Kyle Lowry to go over 2.5 3-point makes. So Lock it in, guys. I like Kyle Lowry to go over 2.5 3-point makes. No problem here. So that's going to do it for today's video. You guys let me know. Is there any props in today's video that you're staying away from? Is there props that you're liking, ones that you're not liking? Maybe you're going to go under instead of over. Maybe you're going to go over instead of under. It's a crazy world out there in the world of PrizePicks. You guys drop a comment down in the comment section below. Let's see if we can run those likes up once again. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's CJ. Make sure you're subscribed and notifications turned on. Hopefully this video helps you out. If it did, leave a thumbs up. Till the next one, guys, take care. Let's win some money on PrizePicks tonight. Peace.